Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today I have another Sims 4 speed build for you, but this one's different because it's actually a community lot, which I don't do very often. However, I am actually making a wedding venue because on the Let's Play that I'm doing over on my Twitch channel, we have a wedding coming up and I'm so excited. I know that if you've been around the channel for a little while, you've heard me talk about the Big Sister Challenge that I'm doing over on Twitch, but it is time for the older sister to get married, and it was very clear to me and to chat that it needed to be this really cute barn venue. So that's actually what I've been working on, and it took me a while to make. I'm not going to lie. I don't know what it is about community lots that's just, they're difficult for me. I don't know what it is. I just have a hard time doing them. And so this took, I think, 4 different building sessions for me to finish, because I wasn't feeling super inspired a lot of the time. But when I finally figured out exactly what I wanted to do, it turned out so good. I love this build so much. I think I took it feels like a billion different screenshots because I was so excited about how it turned out. I made sure everything was really well lit so it looks beautiful at night. I don't know what it is, but to me, I like having my Sims get married at night, or with a well lit beautiful scenery. So I made sure that it looked really pretty at night if you choose to use it that way. And it is already up on the Sims 4 gallery. If you would like to download it, feel free to do so under my ID Spice and Sprinkles, and do whatever you want with it if you want to change it around. And I used a lot of stuff from the wedding pack, and obviously you can change it to what would suit your Sims color scheme for their wedding. But for this one I went very neutral. So this is for Melanie, our big sister, for that challenge, and she very much loves brown, tan, green tones. That's just her vibe. So I tried to pull a lot of that in here. So we have a lot of cream colors and things like that when it comes to the actual wedding decor. I think there's a little bit of peach in there too. But you can see that I clearly struggled. I struggled a lot with how I wanted this to look, but I did know that I wanted to have a 2-story tall wedding area where you could see the exposed beams with these beautiful chandeliers hanging from them. I really wanted this to be very grand and beautiful. So it took me a while to get it set up the way I wanted to, but I think it turned out so well. And the wedding actual area is going to be on the back of the barn, and that's where we're going to set up the arch and everything. I think I actually do that last. I don't know why. I think I found it intimidating to actually set this space up because I feel it was such an important space, you know what I mean, when it comes to screenshots and just experiencing that with your Sims. And I feel that's so silly talking about this about just Sims, but I don't know, if you play a lot of gameplay, this is, I've become very invested in these Sims. I'm I want these Sims to be happy and have a beautiful wedding and have a good life. I don't know, it sounds silly, but you know what I mean. Let me know if you know. Do you get invested in your Sims and you really want what's best for them, or I don't know. I mean, you could also be super chaotic. I don't know. Anyways, just let me know what is your gameplay style when it comes to your Sims. And I don't do much gameplay, but I do basically all of it over on my Twitch channel. So if you're into that, be sure to check it out. We would love to have you. And so I finally figured out what I wanted to do. I think I finally settled on the look of this place. And basically what we end up with is 3 kind of buildings. So we have the main barn right here with that little entrance space. We're gonna make the entrance space kind of the little reception area, in terms of okay, well that's confusing, not wedding reception, but where you'd enter the venue. So you'd have your guest book and everything, and then that's just where the ceremony is. And then we have a separate building that's going to have bathrooms and a kitchen, because you would need that on the lot in case, you forgot a cake or you have caterers or whatever. And then we also make a gazebo pavilion kind of thing where I put the dance floor and all. And then we also have the actual eating reception space with a bar and everything. This really was a build that was quite the undertaking, to be honest. I mean, this is a 30-minute speed build, so if you can't tell, it definitely took a while, but I think it was definitely well worth it because I love the way it turned out. I do end up using these industrial doors because they kind of reminded me of barn doors, and then we have those desert luxe doors on the inside actually leading to the ceremony space. But I wanted this to look it's a venue, so I put put a little sign out, kind of maybe naming it and all of that kind of good stuff. And We end up putting like a lot of fencing around it and everything. And we end up even having like a pond and a wishing well. Like, I mean, it doesn't, I feel like the lot doesn't seem like it'd be that big to have all of this stuff on it. But you know what? It ended up fitting like super well. So this is actually the space that I'm working on, the bathroom and the kitchen. Those are actually side by side, so kind of in the same building. And like I said, if you don't necessarily have to have caterers, but I thought it'd be nice to have on the lot in case you want to use them, because I also put like the banquet tables out too, so you can just like click on it and like just add food to it so you don't have to worry about it. But I just wanted it to be like a really well-rounded venue if you wanted to use it. And so I ended up like doing like a venue-like kitchen in my opinion. So I ended up putting like 2 stoves in and things like that. Like I tried to make it like more venue-like instead of like, you know, a residential kitchen, because I'm thinking like if you have a bunch of people, you would be like trying to feed a lot of people, so you would need a lot of cooking space, that kind of thing. And I think I kind of go back and forth between the the bathroom space and the kitchen space, since it's kind of all in the same building. But I end up putting like 3 stalls in here, and we do like several sinks, and I end up just putting mirrors actually on the sides. Like I don't put them like above the sink, since we have the really pretty windows and I wanted to keep those. And then I ended up using just kind of like that space on the side as like a storage area. I figured, you know, extra toilet paper, like all of that kind of good stuff you would probably need at a venue like this, since you'd probably have a lot of people. And I can't remember how many Sims like I ended up planning this place for. You can obviously add more tables, more chairs, that kind of thing if, you know, you need a bigger space, but I think I ended up with maybe 12 or 14 seats, so hopefully that's enough depending on how big your wedding actually ends up being. But anyways, of course, like I said, feel free to like edit it if you want to and add more, do whatever you need to do for it. And we end up actually doing like a really nice fountain space as well, kind of in the middle of everything. And so this is actually the like the second portion. So like I did a video just basically building the barn area, and then I did a video I feel like just doing this. And because eventually I'm going to start working on the like gazebo thing, and at that point I was just like really confused about what I wanted to do in the space, so we had to come back to it again. But I do end up putting like a giant chalkboard on the wall, because I figured like maybe like that's where they put the menu and like the schedule and stuff like that, like if you have caterers. Again, like you don't need that in The Sims, but I just kind of liked the idea of it because I feel like it's a little more realistic. And then putting like the 2 trash cans in here. And then for the gazebo area, like I believe I'm about to work on that next, but it honestly, it really like, it took me a little while to figure out what I wanted. And then I decided that I wanted this really nice like area kind of where they all connected, if that makes sense, which you'll see in a second how I kind of start rearranging stuff. And I thought I might put a roof on it, but then I just felt like it looked too closed off, so then I decided to actually make it like a little pergola thing. Like it was a whole process to try to get this worked out, and I spent so much time like putting a roof on that like poor gazebo for then us not to even use the roof. Like I ended up taking it off and making it a pergola like instead, but I just thought that was really funny that I spent a whole lot of time doing that and then just didn't end up using it. But we end up lining it up to where they kind of all meet in the middle, so like, and like I try to make it like an easy flow for your Sims to get from one place to the other, so they don't have to hopefully walk too far to actually get to the different parts of the reception area. And also, so like when building like these pergolas, like it took me a long time to figure this out, so I thought I'd mention it. Like if you just draw it with the fence, you end up with that like white piece. If you actually use like roof trim, you can like cover all of that up and make it a more matching like color. So anyways, I just thought I'd mention that because it took me a really long time to figure that out, but I feel like it's a real game changer when it comes to making those pergolas. Like they look a lot more like realistic instead of having that weird white ceiling area that we get in The Sims. So anyways, just adding those in and then deciding probably that, you know what, that would actually look really cute on this gazebo area. And like I said, the gazebo actually ends up being the like entertaining space, which I think I get to that a little bit later once I figure out kind of the rest of the layout. I was very all over the place when I was trying to figure out what I wanted, because it was just It was a whole thing. And of course, I ended up making the entrance to the gazebo like 3 tiles wide, and the entrance to the other 2 buildings too. So that was a whole thing, trying to get things like lined up how I wanted to. And so yeah, finally adding in this pergola space and deleting out all of those squares. And you can see I added in a nice fountain in the middle. And then I actually put like the tiny fountains from Spa Day in each of the 4 corners that you see there too, which I'll do that actually a little bit later on. And also part of the reason I got rid of the roof there is because I wanted to use some of the more like detailed, is it spandrels? Is that the word I'm looking for? Some of those detailed wood pieces there on the pergola as well. And then it took me a while to figure out like what trees I wanted, because again, since this was kind of like out in the woods, like I wanted it to look like, you know, it was this really rustic like area. And I did cut out some of the footage of me actually trying to figure that out, because honestly it took it took way too long for me to decide on what trees I wanted on this lot. Like, oh my goodness. And so this space you see right here, that rectangular area, is actually going to be where like you go and eat. And I think it works out really nicely. I also put in like a full bar over there. So like, again, like you can get a bartender, that kind of thing for this space. And I think like this would be a really nice entertaining area. Like, I feel like this would honestly be a really cool place to actually get married, like in real life. And I was trying to mimic that, and it was so funny too. Like, I haven't actually really played with the wedding pack, so I did test it. Everything does work, but it was really funny. Like, I actually tested it on stream because I was like, let's like make a whole thing and make a couple. And it was just kind of funny, like trying to get like trying to figure out how the pack works. But anyways, everything works for the wedding, so you shouldn't have any issues unless there's just issues with the pack, which I've heard that there are. So anyways, but that was just really long-winded. It is play tested, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And I end up putting like a pond back here by this tree and a little seating area too, so like Sims can go and sit out in this like cute, cozy, romantic area. And like we end up putting some swans on this pond as well, which is so cute, and you'll see those in the screenshots. Like, and I also actually end up putting fireflies everywhere as well, so you'll probably see me place those in a few minutes here. And like, they actually look so cute at night. Again, like, I really wanted this to be a nice space at night if this is like how you wanted to use it. And I went ahead and drew out all of this space where I was going to put like flowers and stuff, because it helps me plan out what this space is actually going to look like without actually having to put everything down, just using terrain paint to help me kind of sketch out what I wanted. And originally I was also going to make this space a seating area, but then I found the like wishing well, so I thought that would be really cute over there instead. So I do end up putting like a seating area, but I do end up swapping it out. And then I figured like out in the front there we would want like a sign for the venue, and that was kind of a struggle, like trying to figure out what I wanted, because we have a lot of signs in the game, but a lot of them I feel like are really modern or don't quite match what we've got going on here. So that was kind of a whole thing. So I'm trying to remember exactly how much of that I ended up cutting out, because it took a while. It really took a while for me to figure out what I wanted there in the front, because I also didn't want to fill all of that area in with vegetation, because I know that I do that, like, and so it looks like I actually ended up cutting out a lot of it. I ended up using like combining different signs and stuff together and some fencing, like, to kind of get a more rustic feel. And you can see I'm basically dumping all of the flowers and bushes and things out of debug and everything that I might want to use on this lot, because I wasn't sure yet. And then I just kind of started placing things to feel out what I actually wanted to use in this area. And so I end up deleting a lot of it. Don't worry, it doesn't like stay that crazy, but I liked being able to see kind of the options that I had. So I stuck with a very basic like white and green for this, so that hopefully it kind of matches like whatever you want to do with this lot. And another tip too, like if your color scheme for your Sims wedding changes, like say you wanted to use red or something, you could change like those flowers to have like red flowers instead, so like the venue is like personalized to your Sims. I think that would be a whole lot of fun too. And let me know too in the comments, like if you decide that you want to use this lot and like how it goes, because I just think it would be so adorable. And feel free to send me screenshots like on Instagram, like I would love to see those. But anyways, like again, totally like talking like random aside notes here, but just adding in a bunch of stones as well here. And fun fact, so I end up making these paving stones are out of debug, and I sized them up, and I did the same thing on the other side of the lot, but I found a weird glitch. Like you can see here, they disappear. like, I don't know what's wrong. So what I will say is, if you download the slot, there's not a stone there, because literally I could not place it. Like, I don't know what was going on. I restarted my game. It still wouldn't work. So I apologize for that. So it looks a little weird, but I'd rather have the stones than not. So I left that kind of little space there. But I don't know. Has anybody else noticed that weird glitch? Or is it like just me that like it felt like the lot just kind of like ate the stone? I don't know. It's just so weird. I even made like a short about it, like on my channel, if you've seen that, like, because I was so confused. But anyways, just adding in a bunch like more decoration here and just like filling all of that area in. And I feel like it makes such a difference when I put all this in here. Like, it really actually starts coming together a little bit more. Like I said, when I started, I was a bit overwhelmed with all of this area because I feel like it's very much a daunting task to take on like a community lot. And I don't know why that is, because I know a lot of people do like building them, but for me, I don't know. It just like, maybe it's just not my thing, but I do need to like do it more, because like people need community lots. Like, I find myself needing them for my Let's Play and stuff like that. Like, you want a nice wedding venue, you want like a restaurant to go to, all of that kind of good stuff. Like, technically I've built a restaurant, I've built a pool, like I've done that kind of stuff, but I need to do some other ones, because I feel like that's something that I just need in the game as well. And like I said, the path looks kind of small, but it has been playtested. Sims can walk through there, so you shouldn't have any kind of issue when you download it. And I'm also hoping that it doesn't delete the terrain paint when you download it. Like, I didn't have that issue, but like, who knows? Sims kind of does whatever it wants to. But hopefully, like, it's pretty well laid out, so you should probably know where all the terrain paint goes if you would like to add it back in. But like, I thought I was done having that glitch, but no, it happened again recently, so I apologize if you download it. It just does whatever it wants to. So just adding in a bunch of stuff over here by the pond as well, because I really did want this to be like a really nice romantic spot for Sims to hang out and stuff like that. And like, honestly, I just feel like you could come hang out here even if you weren't having a wedding, but I feel like that's kind of random. But I mean, you totally could. Or even transfer this into like a park area. I feel like that would be kind of fun too, to be honest. Like, I don't know, like you could almost like get rid of the barn and then like put in a bunch of like playground stuff or something and almost make this into a park. I don't know why I'm talking about that like as I'm building a wedding venue, but I don't know. The stuff I think about when I'm doing my voiceovers, like looking at my lot, like stuff that I could do differently to it. So I should actually like make a park. I think that would be kind of fun to do. And like really useful, like your Sims, like I feel like that's something really important for your Sims to have, is somewhere to actually go. And so adding in, like I said, this little seating area, and I pulled out a few lanterns to put here, which started like, I used a lot of lanterns. Listen, I really like lanterns, especially when it comes to weddings. I had lanterns at my own wedding. I don't know why, but I just think they look really romantic. I think like the candlelight is just really pretty. So I do end up using them everywhere. So I apologize if you don't like lanterns, but there's a lot of them. So the lantern budget for this build is quite large. It is very extensive, but I think it was totally worth it and ended up looking very, very pretty. And so adding in here the wishing well that I finally found, and I was like, oh, this would be so much better. This would look so much better. And then trying to figure out how I wanted to do the entrance to that like eating area, because it was just so open. It didn't feel like it matched quite well. So I ended up like kind of making my own archway, if that makes sense. And you can see I started adding these like pieces from the high school pack, but they didn't fit right. So I take them out, but I do replace them with the wedding curtains, and I think that looks a lot better, because I didn't like the fact that it kind of closed off so much of the space, like you couldn't see through them, if that makes sense. So I end up swapping those out for the wedding curtains, and again, like you can change those as well. So I think this is a very customizable lot in terms of like your own Sims and what they might need. And like I said, I really try to make this like a well-lit area for your Sims to like actually be, and you can get like good screenshots and all that kind of good stuff, like if that is something that you like to do during your gameplay. So just adding stuff everywhere. I even tried to like change the intensity of those curtains, but I don't know, it wasn't working. So we swap it out, and I'm very happy with the way it actually ended up. And I ended up actually just putting a like saucer light like inside of the fountain, which I thought looked really good, and kind of lit it up so it looked brighter in that area. And that's something I'd like to do pretty often if I have fountains. So just a tip, like if you feel like some of those areas are dark sometimes, or maybe that's just me and like nobody else thinks that, but like to me, sometimes I feel like fountains can be really dark. And so I just add a light in there. And then here just adding in and trying to make this just a very pretty romantic space. So adding in those like candles, and I do add those actually to the other buildings as well. And just adding in a bunch of the stuff. They actually had those like really pretty barrels from the wedding pack, so I added those in, and then like the seating chart I added in there. And I thought like for this, like we maybe would have one of those like really long like dining tables, so that's what I ended up adding in here. But I do also add in like a sweetheart table, which is basically just a table for the couple. So we put that over in the corner too, so they can kind of like have a cute like moment together. And we also put like 2 different banquet tables in here as well, so you can add a bunch of food and like do whatever you need to do. And I also put like the the champagne toast thing, so your Sims can do toast here as well. And then ended up putting in like a full-size bar here instead of the shorter one, because it actually had enough room here. And so your Sim should be able to get to that and all of that kind of good stuff. And just adding in more and more lights, and this is actually where I ended up adding in a little bit of like that peach kind of color that came with some of the flowers, because I ended up thinking that was like really pretty and bringing in a little more dimension instead of just using like white everywhere. So I thought that was really nice and still very like rustic and almost like tan kind of colored, even though I think technically it's like peachy. And so these are our 2 banquet tables that you can add food to. And then I also added in that small table so that you can put the cake on it, because I figured that would be pretty appropriate there. And then that other one over in the corner is our sweetheart table. And then this is actually going to be the dance floor area. We end up putting a piano in here and some seating as well. And I end up putting in the record player. I think it's from what is the vintage pack? Oh my gosh, why am I blanking all of a sudden? Anyways, just putting that in there, and you can swap that out for another stereo or something like that. But I thought that would be kind of nice there to have that and like have a seating space. So if a Sim doesn't want to dance, they can just kind of hang out over there. And then I end up adding lanterns to like all the stairs everywhere. I told you I used them everywhere. I was not joking. I put flowers everywhere. I put lanterns everywhere. I really wanted this just to be like a really magical, like really nice place to have your Sims get married. So adding in all of those curtains, and I think it made such a huge difference. Like it kind of broke everything up, but you can still see into everything. So I think it was like the best choice to use that instead of using, like I said, those ones that we were going to use from high school years. And it kind of gives a little more privacy, but still looks really fancy. But anyways, you can see me adding in here those candles that we had in the dining area. And I was gonna count those chairs, but like all of a sudden, like everything was moving way too fast. Like I started counting and then I lost count. But anyways, just adding a bunch of seating in here and then putting like some bar menus over there on the bar. And I thought that was really adorable. And then I added in that mat because I figured, again, like this is kind of a catering space. So you might have like a food safe mat back there. I guess technically like it's not food safe, but like I guess food worker safe. Anyway, so you don't like slip and fall is the idea. And then I end up adding like a bench, I think, over by the kitchen area, and then again just like a wooden sign walking into that like entrance space to the actual ceremony space. And we end up putting just like more flowers everywhere because I just really couldn't help myself. And then in the actual entrance to the barn area, we add in a table for presents, and we add in like a table for like a guest book because I figured that would be really cute. Now, it's not something that you can actually use, but I just like the idea of it, like as you having that available to you is kind of like an idea. And then I do end up actually swapping out those windows because I really like the curtains and I thought it looks better with those windows. And then using that stone there on the wall because I wanted to bring in a little more of that rustic element while still being like nice and elegant. And like I said, just putting like flowers and presents everywhere. There's so many presents here. It's insane. I started with these, but I do find the other ones and swap them out because they actually come in like a peachy kind of color. So I like those a whole lot more than the ones I've got right here. And I forgot which pack they were from because I know some of them came in seasons and then I don't know. Did they all come in seasons? I honestly cannot remember. And over on this side is where we put the guest book. And I also put one of those, like, it looks like a little memory box thing. I figured like maybe if like people wanted to leave the couple notes, like that kind of thing. And then I also actually end up coming back. I don't think I do it right now. I think I come back and do it a little bit later. But I add in a dog and cat statue on that table as well, which seems a bit random. However, for our Let's Play, Melanie and Easton really love animals. Like, she's a vet and they have like a bunch of animals, so I figured that's kind of like a tribute just to them. So you can of course get rid of those if you would like to, but I really wanted there to be like this really nice rustic fireplace. Like, I just really wanted this to be so romantic. I really tried to use that big thing, but it just did not work. It absolutely did not work. But we swapped it out for this, and this actually turned out really well. I was worried it was going to be too small, but we end up actually putting some more flowers and, you guessed it, lanterns around the actual like arch, and it ended up looking so pretty. We put some barrels in here as well, and it was so funny. Like, I put those lanterns there, and then like I found more lanterns to actually add, but I think it looks very pretty. I don't think it's overdone. I think it looks very elegant in this space. And we end up adding on top of one of the barrels, I end up putting like the ring pillow. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm just forgetting words today on top of that, and like some other flowers and stuff like that. And we put some like candles over there on the fireplace as well. And then I end up actually putting like the wooden hearts that you can craft. I put those on the fireplace as well because I just thought those were so cute and would be so adorable in screenshots and stuff like that, and having the nice fireplace going. And your sim can get to it and light it and all of that kind of good stuff, so you shouldn't have any issues. And hopefully everything doesn't catch on fire when you try to have a wedding, because honestly that would be terrible. Like, that wouldn't be very much fun. And I end up using the back space over here for like another like piano and seating area, so maybe if people are there early, that kind of thing, or maybe that's like where the sim, like you have a sim playing music while, you know, the ceremony's going on, like that kind of thing. And I do actually end up adding in some like logs actually behind the two benches in the back, so like thinking that's where they store them for the actual fireplace that's in this space. So I think it turned out really nicely, and I did like that extra touch. Like, that's just where they store it. And you can see I'm trying a lot of things, but I think we filled out this space really, really nicely, and I love the way it turned out. And I put those little carpets there as well to kind of break up all of the stone that we have here, and I feel like just adds a little bit of warmth to this area. And I wanted this to be like a nice little focal point to have this piano in here and that seating area. And I do put some lanterns by the piano. Don't come for me. I did. I told you, I warned you, I used them everywhere, but I think it turned out okay. And I struggled a little bit with figuring out that carpet, because honestly I do swap this one out because it just, I don't know, I just wasn't feeling it. Like, it just didn't feel like that's what would be in this space, if that makes sense. Like, it didn't feel quite right. So we do end up swapping it out. I think I combined two of the like laundry day rugs, I think is what I ended up doing, if I remember correctly. I did this sometime last week, so I'm trying to remember what I actually ended up doing. Yes, I ended up doing that, and I think it looks so much better and kind of goes better with that like rustic feel, if that makes sense. And just adding in a little bit of extra lighting, and like I said, adding in that firewood and some more lanterns because it just looks really pretty that way. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I would really appreciate it, and I hope you have a really sweet day. Bye, everybody.
I lose my breath whenever I see you. You stole my heart, what is it that you do? My life was great till you added colors. Like the moon needs the sun, we don't care about the others. You set my world on fire. You're my heart's desire. I just wanna love you, just wanna hold you, just wanna be with you till we grow old. Please tell me you'll stay.